Chapter 4, The Fields. Excuse. The fields of essence begin having physical lives. As already mentioned, after Lily and Era had a little over 100 million lives, animal essence came into the physical arena. Animal essence is unique and extremely powerful, also with an abundance of fortitude. The original first ones found out they could be treated harshly and continuously, life after life. Providing they were not very long, they began learning the abuse capacity of animal essence while in a body. These were sick beings, the original ones. You see, everything in creation was abused from the very beginning. The one thing I haven't mentioned yet in this book is why. This is the sick part. As you read this, try to remember that the original first being was composed of 27.5% negative frequency energy, which became sentient by mixing of 5 different energy fields, a little heavy particulate matter, and a form of chemical reaction. As Era learned a long time ago, heavy particulate matter is the ingredient which causes negativity within sentient creation. This is also evident when you consider that the energens released from our initial first being's happenstance creation before the heavy particulate matter came into play have almost zero low frequencies or negativity, only 0.1%. The original first being has already had this negativity and were not aware of any issues with it. It simply felt as it did, and in their own thought processes, found nothing wrong with it. Sad but true. This is how creation got started on the wrong foot. Even before the loneliness set in. As time passed by while in a body, all forgot who they really were in their natural state. The physical bodies began to praise whatever they thought could make their lives easier, less brutal. The original first ones loved this. It fed their ego until it started growing out of proportion. Here's the birth of your God concept. Not only false, but abusive to no ends. As mentioned earlier, this is why we have had so many horrific events occur on the 11th. The 1 and the 1 standing next to each other, 11 represents the male and the female God, who were not only in control, but doing with you as they pleased. They hadn't even spread the news about there being two of them yet. This 11 issue was really just for their own enjoyment, an expression of their own arrogance and self-indulgence. This is all important for you to understand how things started to become what they are today. Let's get back to having lives again. After not one, but a few 100 million lives, the original first being has decided to place the human and Fae essence into bodies and see how they did in their current life format. Please remember that all thought was that although it was not near as strong as Source Spirit, Essence was still very powerful, about 1,000 times the strength of Soul when each was released. The original first beings could now fine-tune their life-giving program. They knew that the souls they would later produce would be smaller, a little weaker, as they could not release too much more of themselves and retain control of everything. Remember that no spirit can release more than a third of itself and remain strong, and they had released a lot of what they originally were. After having their lives, these souls would grow stronger and larger. This would increase the number of souls they would be able to produce. When it came time, the largest of the soulmates would come together like two separate hands interlocking fingers. They would release a third of their soul spirit into a new universe, producing more praise units to glorify the almighty original Mother and Father of God. This was to be during the 5th age on Earth, December 21st, 2012, 12/21/2012. In basic numerology, the number 5 means physical movement. That's also when you were to barely see in your minds that there was an omnipotent Mother and Father God. Speaking of spirit energy being released, as we discussed in Book 1, when pushed away from its source, it is energy in the form of a wave. As the wave thins out, like water poured over a highly waxed car hood, it eventually finds itself into small orbs. Once these spirit orbs settle down, they start to vibrate and separate into two distinct parts, male and female. This process happened with the original first being, as we remember from the first volume of the Creation series. No orbs split into 100% male or female, but percentages of each. The Mother, Father, God concept was recently introduced to popularity by Sylvia Browne. She did a good job of letting people know that a pair of strong male and female spirits was running things. She was merely telling others what she was told to by the original first being, male and female, as well as her spirit guide Aina. The original first angels made sure she did that. They went through her crown chakra energy fields and into her hypothalamus gland to run her, as they did with all of us they felt appropriate. And still feel the free will concept at work, as the original first ones were finally destroyed. The concept of a controlling god type persona was also being deleted from the second dimension, where all physical lives are controlled from. The actual format for having lives was being changed, taken out of the control of the hands of an abusive ruling gods to a new form of self-control that all creation would have a hand in, or orchestrating real self-control, true freedom. Creation is about to run itself and make up its own mind about how to have lives, providing that it stays within the new format of compassion, honor, equality. None of you are young children anymore. You need to be able to run your own lives. That's what Era fought for, as well as your permanent safety in spirit form. The abuse frequencies that all of you were developing was causing serious problems for everything, not just yourselves, even when out of body. Now back to essence having lives. As I mentioned earlier, animal essence was the first of the original spirit fields to have lives. Immediately after Lily and Era, they were put through the process rapidly. They were made to have quicker lives, as they would be used for food as well as planet support. Their lives began as servants to everything immediately. How sad.